Now, fair correction, it is technically 33 because there are 2 guys on the board and it doesn't take them long. 33 recruits for Ball State. Let's take a look at them and see how good they are. We needed a couple of quarterbacks this year. We got a couple of quarterbacks now, didn't we? Let's start off with the 1-stars. We got Tobias Cutler, who is normal dev. Shane Conte, normal dev, but then McLean was a 2-star gem. He has impact dev, not bad. Somebody to build around. We have seen how effective impact dev can be with somebody like Dad Vibes. At running back, normal dev for Joey Mayo, which again is who we would have had otherwise had we not gotten the 2 stars. Impact dev for Penix. Impact dev for Duke Hurtado, not bad. Bad at all. It'll be normal dev for all these guys unless I indicate otherwise. We got Ben Hendricks, James Bowe, DeAndre Matlock, and Stanley Lawson. So, need some upgrades there eventually. Tight ends, impact dev for Colin Whitehead. Colin. On the O-line, David Neighbors, Tyquan Kirkpatrick, Robbie McGann, and Lawrence Hardrick went to Indiana. At guard, Jared Aguilar, Stephen Norman, and Larry Folk was normal dev, but that's okay. And then nobody at center. So defensively, Carlos Dunham, Silas Mevis, and Shakir Roma. All normal dev. We needed even a couple of those 2 stars, because otherwise this class was looking bad. Shakir Calloway, Dante Bender. Guy's only 5'11" as defensive tackle. Linebackers, Quincy Doucette and Deshaun Sexton. Daniel Santiago went to Iowa State. And in the middle, Kelvin House, Christian Paris, Terrell Myrie, and Makachow was also only normal dev. Corners, Ty Shermer, Vernon Boone, and impact dev for the 1-star Tony Pinner. Way to go, Tony. And at safety, Christian Goldstein. Kicker, JD Baggett at impact dev. So we got a couple of impact devs this year. Not bad. Couple of 2 stars at the very end. I can't imagine our class is ranked all that highly, of course. Miami has the #1 class in the country. At Oklahoma, Ohio State, Florida, and Alabama as the top 5. But we were up to our highest recruitment class yet at 124th. Identical class to Wyoming. Not bad. Not bad, not bad. I mean, I'll certainly take not being at the very bottom. What are the actual odds of seeing a 1-star at Star or Elite Dev? Incredibly close to 0, if not 0. But hey, it's been worth looking for us, right? So that sets us up with a big position change moment here. As again, we just lost a lot of top-notch players, and now it's a matter of finding out who can actually play and where they can play. We're going to start off with trying to look for anybody who might be able to play quarterback, and that's going to be Shane Conte up, and all of those guys are quarterbacks already. We're not going to worry about 5-star footballer being a quarterback, of course. So we won't have any change in terms of who is playing at QB. It will be these 5, with Dad Vibes, of course, being the starter. McLean's only a 59 out of the gates. But otherwise, we would have been left with Cutler and Conte, both at normal dev. So, it worked out. And obviously now we can hopefully get some better recruits moving forward. That is the plan. At running back, you have Hurtado at a 60. He is fast as hell. Can he catch a football? Not really. Not really. That's not good enough to be at wideout. Crespo and Brown Shoes Black Belt, though, we might have to consider moving these guys to wideout. I need to see how their speed compares to everybody else. And we'll take it from there. We got our fullback, Gary Bananas. He's fine. New wideouts, you got Ben Hendricks at a 55, Lawson at a 54, Matlock and Bowe. No crazy additions. Is there anybody here who can't catch a football? Dr. Respect, Ben Hendricks. Ooh, a lot of these guys aren't great at catching a football. So we're probably going to have to sort that by speed. Ugh. That's not looking too pretty. That's not looking too pretty at all. Yikes. So the top three will all stay at wideout, even though we're about to lose a lot of speed at wide receiver this year. It's just like that, we're a running team, no kidding. Can any of these guys, now granted, some of them might not have the size, can any of them block? Potentially move them to tight end. Matlock and James Bowe. Bowe at 6'4", kind of, doesn't quite have the weight to where I think he wouldn't be out-muscled, though. So I'm going to say no to anybody being able to move to tight end. So in terms of the catching, we're looking at Dr. Respect, Matlock, and Bowe probably being moved to running back. Just because of they have the lack of hands like everybody else, but it's the lack of speed that really hurts. We'll see later on if they are able to move to the defensive side of things. Although I feel like that's pretty unlikely. But again, we don't necessarily care about, oh, well, the game says they'll be this overall here. I don't really care about the highest rating. It's about where can they actually play. So it would be 6 wide receivers this year, which isn't ideal. We'll see if anybody else can move over. We'll come back to the running backs eventually. For tight ends, we have 5 of them. You have to be able to field at least 4 of them. So I can't imagine we're going to move anybody. Anybody that is potentially good at catching a football isn't fast enough to play wide receiver. I mean, I guess you could argue old P.T. or Griffin might be the closest. The only thing that you could argue is the fullback position, but I don't know if we're allowed to flip Gary Bananas over to... Okay, we are allowed to flip him. Let's move him to tight end really quickly. And just see, the worst catching rating of the bunch is either Gary or Greg Christmas. The speed goes to Greg. Yeah, Gary is best suited at fullback. That's pretty straightforward. So, Gary, congratulations. You're going right back to fullback. As far as the tight ends go, whether or not they can play anywhere else, it would pretty much come down to a couple of things that we're going to check right now. So again, with the running backs, we're talking Hurtado to Matlock. Can anybody tackle? Can anybody tackle? No. So yeah, no defenders there. Pretty straightforward, right? When talking about the wideouts, we don't really have enough to see if anybody can move the defense. But the tight ends, which is Ya down to Christmas, can anybody here tackle? No. Okay. So that's just where they're going to be. You could maybe argue the best pass blockers of the bunch moving over, but then the problem is we still need people who can slightly catch the football, which at tight end, you're talking about at least a 58 with Greg Christmas. Most people are at least at a 65. I don't know if anybody on the O-line is actually going to be able to catch a football. That is what we're going to check next. And then we'll sort that out. So first things first, can anybody here catch a football? No. No, you can't. So nobody there is suited to play tight end. That's pretty straightforward. Can anybody tackle? Would anybody be better suited on the defensive line rather than the offensive? Harry Nog, who we did move from defense to offense, could go defensively. Racist from Kentucky. I've caught a football once. Joey, I mean, we might need you for this team. Get ready to suit up, pal. Get ready. Why are you on your body count? That's a good question. So racist from Kentucky and Harry Nog could both potentially go defensive. Power moves, finesse moves, not the best. They can't play any zone. So they beat defensive linemen. So I guess the question is, if we need a defensive lineman, let me mark them down really quickly. If we need defensive ends, they would be the ones to move. But otherwise, let's see what the offensive line is looking like here now. Wasn't looking at stream. I heard racist from Kentucky and got caught off guard. Totally fair. Totally fair. So again, we want our most agile players on the outside. Harry Nog is going to be... Oh, that's right, Crash. That is your alt account. Or your fucking bot account. I forgot about that. Harry Nog's probably going to be one of our better offensive linemen this year, so it would be a bit of a risk to move him to the defensive side. It comes down to the numbers, though. It comes down to the numbers. What's Noel's injury rating? That's a good question. I should check that because he's been fucking terrible in terms of staying healthy. But it's time to name, is there a command or something for entering names in chats? Yeah, I always put a code word. Typically, it's been 1, 2, 3 as of late, but you'll know the code word when we see it. I don't open up the raffle or anything until it's actually time. So, for now, you are fine. You know, we actually do have quite a few linemen this year. Quite a few indeed. A lot of them have really poor agility, so put them at center where there's less movement. I actually have so many offensive linemen this year. It might be worth moving those two back to defense, but I need to see how many defenders we actually have. I'm sure it's going to be a lot. All right, let's see. So anybody... We'll move Chris Redfield to guard. We'll go with anybody with 80 agility. We'll be on the outside. 70s will be at guard, lower than 70. You got to be in the middle. And these guys are immobile, basically. We'll move Harry Nog over to tackle. Again, still don't know if he's going to be defense or offense yet. We'll see. And then technically, 79 agility is the split. But we do have Rucker, Peyton. I can't check Keith's injury. Actually, I could. I could have checked the player card, but let me move him to the inside really quickly. And Bob Backlund as well. So at tackle, I will indeed shut up. West Coast, my handsome fella. How are you, my man? How'd the stream go? Good to see you as always. Thank you very much for the raid. Tremendous streamer, by the way. Was doing more of a UFC night. You can catch him in this directory sometimes, too. Westy, I hope the stream went really well. Always good to see you. That was Ball State. 11-2 last year. Won our first bowl game. We're making some progress. Thanks to players such as Harry Nog. Which, again, isn't chat hilarious. If we move Mr. Nog to defense... So we were in a 71. I think we were, what, a 78, 79? We just lost a lot of seniors. A lot of seniors. We could technically then have Peyton and Yankel Rucker at tackle. Harry Nog as a defensive lineman or the starting left tackle. We're going to come back to this. We're going to check the defense first and then take it from there. Actually, we can go special. Oh my god, our special teams this year going to be atrocious. Our special teams are going to be atrocious. Our kicker, solely off of power, will have to be 5-star foosballer. And then we'll also move JD Baggett over to punter. Special teams are going to be real bad this year. Real bad. Good lord. Real bad. Doing the same thing he did, Super Simba jump in. Yes. We had to jump in a lot last year. It was comeback victory after comeback victory, and somehow I only slipped up once, and that was at the very end of the season. So it was mentally torturous in a lot of ways. I think that's a good way to put it. Fun, but torturous. All right, so let's see. Guild Judge. We've done this before. Again, we got to make sure we do it again. Anybody that is half decent at man coverage, we need you to go to corner on the defensive side of things here. And that'll help us judge out what we're going to be doing here. Goldstein cannot play man, cannot play zone. He has some decent speed. Can't catch the ball. So we're not talking about a potential wide receiver instead. Can't tackle. Lock shedding isn't great. Carrying isn't great. So he's definitely not going to be a running back. What difficulty? I am on All-American, I believe. Again, pretty sure it's on All-American. If it was on Heisman, I would have lost way more games than this. Impact blocking is okay. I mean, we're talking about just plugging this guy in on the defensive line. He's not, but even then, he's not that great. I guess, like, if we needed him in a depth role somewhere, just plug him in there and try to train him up. But this guy's pretty bad. He is pretty bad. So Goldstein, I'll just mark him down as defensive depth for the moment, just to get him out of the way. I'm going to move him to kicker, but I've marked down that he's there. Olem Pickerings has the crazy good zone coverage, so we can leave him there for the moment. Free safety. Oh, God. Okay, Zach Raymont at least has man coverage, so we got to consider him for corner again. And then same for Goldberg. Got a bad wipe. Whatever the fuck that means. I still haven't decoded that one. These guys at least play zone? Yes, they can. Especially Thad Castle. He's great at zone. Then for the corners themselves. We're going to say anybody... Oof. Anybody above a 60 is still probably our number. So a lot of potential corners. Vernon Boone can at least play some zone coverage. So he'd actually be better suited over there for the moment. At least all these guys have at least 60 man coverage. That's fine. Muted, what's going on, man? At linebacker. Technically, we might want to consider these two as safeties because of the 60 zone. Again, I don't like having to judge it off of like 60 for an attribute, but literally beggars can't be choosers right now. It's our best way to go about it. Middle linebacker. Can anybody play man? Yes, shockingly. So 5-star in your heart, I believe is the way I'm supposed to pronounce it. Put you at corner temporarily. And then Bigsby will also temporarily put at corner. I doubt he stays there, but again, this is the way to get kind of a full look. Do any of you guys have decent zone coverage? The only one is Makachow. He's at least at a 60 right now. Don't have enough linebackers to be able to move him over. Apparently. What about on the left? No man and no zone. Okay. I just move one of you guys to middle linebacker for the moment, so that I can move Makachow. Safety. Never mind. Still not allowed to move Makachow. Well, given that we know that Goldstein sucks and can play anywhere, this is where he'll come in handy. Temporarily move him to middle linebacker. That should allow me to move Makachow to safety. Motherfucker! I lied. Apparently, I lied. And now I'm not even allowed to move Goldstein back to punter. Okay. Well, we will, give me a second here. We'll double check how this will turn out in a minute. Defensive tackles. Those are some big boys. Some big boys. Anybody here also a big boy who would be better suited at defensive tackle? If I set the weight to like 280, then no. We're good to go there at DT. Good to know. So defensive end. I don't think we're going to have to move those two guys from the O-line to the D-line. We have so many goddamn players here. Can anybody play man or zone to a decent level? No, and that's why you're on the defensive line, is because you're trash at actually playing coverage. Same thing there. Okay. Right. All right. Well, then at safety, anybody under an 80 speed is going to be considered too slow for the secondary. And we're going to put you at linebacker instead. So, Snack Harlow, you are going back to linebacker. That should allow me to move Mr. Chow to safety just to test you out. There we go. Let's double check here then. All you guys will have at least the proper zone coverage. 82, 87. 84. So then just speed walker hips. We're going to say just misses that cutoff. We'll move you back to linebacker as well. Temporarily, at least. So then for ideal safeties, Thad Castle, Olem Pickrings. Okay. And then there's all the corners. Now, some of these guys could also go back over to the safety position, or could be moved to linebacker. Based on the speed, 5-star in your heart. Man coverage isn't that good. Zone coverage will move you back to linebacker because of that lack of speed that we were talking about. Anybody else? Sub 80 speed. Clayton Bigsby was a linebacker that we wanted to test out. We'll move you back over. Again, this is just our way of optimizing our secondary. And then my mom signed me up. Doesn't have the speed I want. I mean, doesn't have the man or the zone either. I think he was another depth option where it's like, just try to train him up at something. He was in that Goldstein position last year. 5'9", kind of tough to move him to linebacker, not to be heightest. But that's where you're gonna go. Why not? Rudy. So then out of all the corners, I mean, you could argue that other people are just too damn good. Shermer's at least got that man coverage. At that point, we're not making the most of our overall depth, right? Shout out to Alex for the 56 months on the Prime. Alex.
Jeez.
Highly unnecessary.
A cheers to you. Welcome back, my friend. How the heck are you?
Ruining a good piece of pizza.
56 months. What are the rules for names again? Be funny. You can be dumb. Just don't be too dumb, or I'll veto you. We'll talk about it later. Not making the most of our defense there, but the safeties would be pretty good. Kansas City for a few days, so I'm gonna catch you for a day. I know. The schedule will always be the biggest problem. I won't have this schedule all the time, though. Eventually, we'll start streaming a bit earlier in the night, I'm sure. So theoretically, let's just leave this as it is, right? That's kind of optimized. I want to see what the whole picture looks like. So linebackers. Sexton, can't play man, can't play zone, like at all. Also isn't very fast. You, sir, need to go to the defensive line, most likely. That is poor. Oh, man. Whew. Right. What the hell are we going to do at linebacker? We're going to be so bad here. We're going to be so bad. I mean, theoretically, I didn't have to wake up early all the time. It helped, I'm sure. Oh, what are we going to do here? What are we going to do? Again, for man and zone coverage for these guys, I mean, you at least had, like, Obi-Wan and Obi. I might have to make it a 50. I might have to make the threshold a 50 for man or zone, but that's fucking atrocious. We're going to have so many defensive ends. That's going to be where the vast majority of the cuts come from. $79, that's not even true because they're being bumped up. Or 59, I should say. I'm going to have to make the cutoff a 50. Like, there's just no... There's no other way. Or we're not going to have enough people. So that's not a good sign for what our defense might look like next year. It does mean that Dwayne the Rock Lobster is getting moved to linebacker. Nobody else from that side is moving, and then from the left side, we will move Kobe Wananobi also over to linebacker, which is a little bit scary, but again, what other frickin' choice do I have right now? So then, man and zone of at least a 50 in one of them. All of you are good. It's only Quincy Doucette that isn't going to make the cut. He's slow as hell. Can't catch worth a damn. You, sir, are going to the defensive end. Just a body to try to throw at quarterbacks. And then this side, Sean Sexton was also moving to the defensive line. We actually do have some linebacker talent-ish. Goldstein, based on the changes to what we've established here, can stay at linebacker. That's fine. He's not good enough to play safety yet, but he might get there. Yeah, I think that works. So let's optimize. Best zone coverage we're going to want is our middle linebackers. So a 77 for Clayton Bigsby. Move him into the middle. Anybody on the right that was worth moving over? No. Then middle linebacker. Best zone coverage is anybody over a 60 can stay there. So Christian Paris. Move you out to the left. It doesn't say sorted by that. That's a shame. So, Myrie, Goldstein, and House. Move you guys to the outside. And hopefully we'll be... Oh, that was 5-star in your heart because of the freaking menu lag that's in this game. Even for an offline Dynasty. Hate that. The ratings on this team, man. We are going to have our work cut out for us to stay in this top tier. This top tier. The 10th tier. To stay out of the bottom tier is what we're dealing with right now. So middle linebackers, we gotta hope for some big off-season development, that's for sure. Left side, Jesus Christ. Right side, okay. Well, at least we have Kobe Wananobi that we can move to the other side. Altex, what's going on, man? I saw your franchise success on Twitter. We'll move to Myrie. Over to the right, just try and balance this as best we can. Again, no saying for sure just how good or bad this team will be. It all comes down to the off-season training. It can be very, very powerful. But there we go. 4 in each at linebacker. It's okay. We do need some help there for sure. And then defensive end. We actually have a fair amount of talents in that position. Too much talent, to be honest, or lack of talent. I mean, defensive end is just where you're not good enough to play offense. I'll just fucking throw you over here because you're not good enough at anything else. So the only question is corner, and do we want all of these guys there? But If that's where they can play, if they have decent enough man coverage to play there, that's where they should be. We're at least okay at safety, and they can help cover at safety. So then one final check of some of these attributes and the O-line. We certainly know we don't have to move those guys off of the O-line. But if we look at the defensive end position, is there anybody that can block well enough? We know you can't catch because you wouldn't be there. But is there anybody that can block well enough to say, oh shit, maybe move them to the offensive line? And the answer is maybe. At least off of pass blocking, we do have quite a few guys that are at least at a 60. Mevis is at a 70. That's actually quite a few guys that are at least a 60 for pass blocking. Mevis being at a 70 is interesting because he's a horrible defensive end. Block, lead block, impact blocking. You know, that might be worth it, at least for Mevis. What is your agility? Be another center. The problem is we got so many fucking centers as it is. I think we'll probably just leave him. And he's probably cut fodder if we're being honest. It would really be down to one of the better ones, and there was only one guy at a 70, so... You know what, we'll deal with it then. So Harry Nog is going to stay at left tackle. Right tackle will be Peyton and Yankel Rucker battling for that spot. And we got a couple of other guys with 79 agility. It is either Keith Knoll, who is not in a position to be a backup, Redfield, or Richardson. We will move Dylan Richardson. He's a big boy, but we'll move him to left tackle. So that leaves us with these two competing for the primary left tackle spot. These two competing for right tackle. All these guys competing for center, potentially. Because we got numerous people. We're going to have to move somebody at guard to be the starting center, if not a backup as well. So 76 agility for Brosalot, endurance, and a 73 for Racist from Kentucky. So that makes it pretty easy. We will move Racist from Kentucky to center. And we will also move Brosalot endurance to center to compete with them at that position. And we're good from there. So we got our 5 quarterbacks. Running back situation's going to be interesting. That's going to come down, I'd say, to a lot of off-season development. At our 1 fullback, we only have 6 wideouts at the moment, and again, we need a lot of training help. We have the 6 tight ends, which is fine. The 2 left tackles, the left guards in the mix, shitload of centers. I mean, that's where some cuts are coming from, absolutely. Right guards that are battling the right tackles. A lot of people at defensive end. A lot of people at defensive tackle. All right, we do have at least the overall depth and balance we were looking for. Now it's just a matter of what does this team look like after the training camp results. Any of the corners weren't developing at wide receiver. Might have been worth checking. Might have been. But a little bit too late now. Not a terrible idea, in fairness. Maybe it would have been worth looking at that, but... again, we got 10 coach coins. Not allowed to touch those anymore until we get promoted. So, Dad Vibes up to a legitimate 75 as the starter for this upcoming year. Got Option King, Extender, and Off-Platform. Not bad. Running backs. Dr. Respect took a big step up to a 75. Bunning Rack is technically a 72. So, Dr. Respect might end up being our starting running back. Gary Bananas, of course, a fullback. The wideouts, DJ Rice, Brown Shoes, Black Belt, both improved at least a little bit. The receiver core, from an overall standpoint, not the prettiest. We can acknowledge that. Tight end, also not the prettiest. The offensive line, however, Richardson, Harry Nog, neck and neck. The offensive line's looking great. Like, great overall depth in each position. That's looking awesome. Defensive end, also looking great in terms of overall depth. Looking fantastic. Goddamn. Linebacker, terror in your face, jumped up to a 75, an actual 77. Middle linebackers, they're okay-ish. Not the fastest in the world. And then Dwayne the Rock Lobster improved. Corners, Jesus Christ. The big question here was about, could anybody move to wideout? The problem is the route running, and that's what I'd have to check. I can actually check that in a second. So linebacker looks a bit weak. Everything else about our defense is looking really solid. Special teams, not so much. But it is not a foregone conclusion that we're, like, dead in the water. In terms of, like, immediately relegated. Anybody here do any route running? Yeah, none of those corners could run routes at all. So, we were best where we were. It's showing us as a 76 overall again, which is really nice. And we're not even necessarily done in terms of improvements that we might see. Here's the big one, though. Transfers. That's what happens when you bring in 33 people. We have 101. We got to get down to 85. Can't cut any quarterbacks. This could get bad. This could get bad because of the sheer amount of people we brought in a panic. This could get pretty bad. Okay. I want to start from special teams, actually. Can't cut anybody there. Long safety, nobody to cut. Free safety. I mean, we're definitely not cutting either of these two. Christ. Corners. Holy shit, everyone here is really good, too. They're really, really good. This is gonna be tough. There are definitely some players that are about to get cut that I do not want to cut, but it's gonna have to happen. Okay. At tight end, Jägermeister the 5th is gonna have to go. You know, he's 6 points worse than a fellow junior and old Oya. So, as well, though, Greg Christmas, great name, but he's already worse than Colin Whitted, who's a true freshman. So, Greg Christmas is out. Actually, it saves Whitted. I thought I was going to be allowed to cut both of them to get it down to 4. I would have kept Christmas had I known that, but we're fine. Richardson provides really good depth. The problem is a lot of these fucking trash-ass options there. Racist from Kentucky. Cankles me, cankles you is only 1 overall point worse, and he's a freshman. So we're saying goodbye to racist from Kentucky. Shout out to Alec.
Fanboy! The man is a fanboy!
I don't know. You might want to pronounce it Alex. The Pac fan, though. Thank you very much for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome to a horrifying cut week. This Redfield, though. 10 overall better for awareness. Right tackle. There might have to be some really difficult cuts on the O-line. Defensive end, this should be a little bit easier. Man. I lied. Defensive tackle. This sucks. We brought in way too many people just in a panic. This is rough. I've only cut 2 players so far, man. right. We gotta do what we gotta do. Right? Gotta do what we gotta do. At running back, Wham Bam, thank you, man, has to go. I think it's obvious Duke Hurtado will surpass him fairly quickly anyway. Although it means I'm not actually sure who our third choice running back will be this year. Especially if we end up redshirting these guys, but we're gonna say goodbye to Wham Bam. On the O-line. Some more hard cuts, but we got to do it. We're going to get rid of Dylan Richardson. Harry Noggs younger, just as good. And will benefit more from being the starter. So Richardson's out. Guard will hold for a minute. At center. I think for now, who's got to go? Only 1 point better than Kankles me, Kankles you. He's a sophomore. Okay, we're doing all right. Yeah, I think for now, who's got to go? Again, we got to get aggressive here. That's why I never recruit that many players, but I honestly thought we were going to be in a much worse situation, especially with transfers out. Nobody transferred out. Right guard, another tough cut, but Chris Redfield. We are going to go with Paul Sprinter, who's younger. And then at right tackle, same thing, Austin Payton. So we're losing a lot of our offensive line depth because of this decision-making. Who's our quarterback? It's a 75 overall dude named Dad Vibes. For this big-ass Warrior, yeah, like I said, I think I said it, at least I thought it. Let me get back to you shortly. We just have to take the best of the bunch, right, out of this group of sophomores. So gone is gone, as is my wife's boyfriend. Also gone. Could make an argument about getting rid of Crespo. Honestly, I think Eric Crespo might have to go too. Didn't want to break up the brothers Crespo, but he's barely better than Blooper. Yeah, Eric Crespo's out. Tough cuts. Had to be made. Defensive tackle. The worst of the two sophomores, Terry O'Funk, is going to go. Also at defensive end, all these guys are sophomores. We'll get rid of Zdeno Clapbaum. And we'll also get rid of Sizza or Salad. That's how they spelled it, damn it. We'll keep, if the glove doesn't fit in Wyoming, no touching. Linebacker. Really don't want to get rid of anybody at linebacker. It's been a very difficult position for us to fill. So that's going to bring us to corners. God, but they're all decent too. And again, corners are really tough to find. We need 3 more cuts. Bunning Rack is absolutely not leaving. Else from there. It's tough. 3 seniors at DT, so I don't really want to get rid of anybody else. These guys are too damn good. Technically, Matt Pacafee could go because of the sophomores that are way ahead of him, so Matt Pacafee is out. And then I'd rather cut corners than linebackers. Or would I? At the very least, Clayton Bigsby could go. He's so far behind everybody else. And we can cut Barfin and Sen. Really tough cuts. We took a pretty big hit to our offensive line depth as well, but it had to be done. Warrior, what the hell was your question, by the way? When you went looking for the suit for your wedding, how hard was picking the right one? Honestly, not bad. I don't remember. I'd have to check with my wife because she was the one who found the site. And I don't remember what the hell it was because we're talking about 9 months ago. I went off of a site online to literally find the exact style. It was risky Don't get me wrong. It's risky, but went off of a site offline where literally you could pick the exact style that you wanted. Just got my measurements taken, went through that site, and the suit was exactly what I wanted and was perfect. It's a bit of a risk, though. It's not for everybody, you know. Might be, well, risky as in, like, who knows? Maybe you get it and you don't know how you feel about it. Whereas if you do the whole in-person thing, you're going to know exactly what you want. You're going to know because you're going to, you know, technically be able to look at yourself in the suit before you bought the thing. Granted, the site had a decent return policy at the time, so... but yeah, message me on Twitter or Discord just so that it's a bit more like there and in my face. And, I'll try to remember to get back to you tomorrow. Oh yeah, you're married. I forgot you're normal. I know, it's terrible, isn't it? It's terrible. What isn't terrible, everybody, is the time to update the conferences because Ball State are moving up. We are heading to Conference USA to replace Western Michigan. And Mid-Tennessee State are moving up to replace Georgia Southern. We are officially in Conference USA as we move forward. Thank God. How beautiful is it to see us having moved up? Absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful sight that I was genuinely thinking there was no chance in hell we were ever going to see. But we did see it, and it's beautiful. And it's fucking beautiful. Why are Temple ranked? Because it's the greatest college in the history of colleges. You better recognize. All right. Really quickly. If I change amount of conference games down to 6, I really don't want to. The only thing that I'm freaking out about is that there was one fictional Week 16 game, and I don't know how to avoid that because my current setup was supposed to stop that from happening. But every other conference is on 11 teams with 10 games, and I'm not doing the big change. Just not sure why that happened. Also seemed to be a little bit random. Unless I were to add divisions for every team. You know, I'm gonna leave it and see if it happens again, and we'll mess around with it. Promoted from Conference USA as champions, the previously aforementioned Temple Owls. They are heading to the MAC to replace Rice. Pretty sure the scheduling is glitched out. It could be that. There was literally just one game. There was literally just one game where that glitch happened. Alec, don't say that too loudly. You might rile up some people. Don't rile up me. But, you know. That is the new Conference USA. Again, we're in a division directly with Coastal Carolina, Miami, Charlotte, Sam Houston, South Bama, UTEP, and Western Kentucky. We ended up in the division that has one extra team. We couldn't do an even number of teams in this particular division, unfortunately. Actually, that might be best then to move us down to 8 conference games, because that should leave other teams more open. Actually, I don't even think it matters. I feel like Conference USA is the one that's messing it up because of that uneven amount of teams. We'll try it for one more season. If it messes up, I have a good way to try and counterbalance it. Out of the MAC, UConn. We're champions of the MAC. They are moving up. Don't overthink it. It's still messed up. Fair enough. Muted. They're moving up to the Sun Belt for Toledo. So that is the brand new MAC. And the teams that are located there. Yeah, we'll focus on this really quickly so I don't make a dumb mistake. Then I'll get back to chat. In the Sun Belt, UAB. The Blazers going up as champions to the American to replace Utah State. So that is what the 8th tier Sun Belt currently looks like. Have that updated. For the American Conference, their champions last season, Virginia, they head to the Mountain West to replace Michigan State. So that is tier 7, the American Conference. What that looks like heading into season number 5. For the Mountain West, their champions last year, the Fighting Illini of Illinois, they head to the Pac-12 to replace Memphis. So that is what the Mountain West looks like in this weird reality of ours. The real American Conference, brother? It is. Also, you didn't put brother in all caps. Or pose with the literal neo-Nazi. The Pac-12 champion last year, the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, they head to the ACC to replace Auburn. Got that Auburn got dropped. So that is what the Pac-12 looks like. Again, in this random-ass, weird alternate setup that we have. Cynical, we ended up holding off on rando conferences and doing it by overall. Otherwise, with Ball State, we would have been completely fucked. That would have been super-duper hard mode. ACC champs last year, the K-State Wildcats, head to the Big 12 to replace West Virginia. So that is the new ACC. K-State continuing to do incredibly well in the first few years of Dynasty. Big 12 champs last year, the Golden Bears of California, head to the Big 10 to replace Penn State. So Penn State now in Tier 3. They have been relegated twice already from the top tier down to tier number 3. So rough times for them. And then the champions of the Big 10, the U, Miami, heading to the top tier SEC to replace the Utah Utes. So that is the brand new Big 10, the second tier out of the 11. And the very top tier, the SEC, looks like this, with Miami and Florida both moving in. There's quite a Florida presence there between Miami, Florida, and Florida State. So, there you go. But again, the big news, we're not in the bottom tier anymore, although hopefully, we can keep it that way. You never know. We could be one and done in this higher up conference.